Well, it is Monday, and we are going to start with some reading. We'll jump off and we'll go into chapters 29 and 30. Let's figure out what's happening to Miggery Sow. Miggery Sow's luck continued. On her first day on the job as a castle servant, she was sent to deliver a spool of red thread to the princess. Mind, said the head of the serving staff, a dour woman named Louise. She is royalty, so you must make sure you curtsy. How's that? Shouted Meg. You must curtsy, shouted Louise. Or, said Meg. Yes'm. She took the spool of thread from Louise and made her way to the golden stairs to the princess's room, talking to herself as she went. Here I am, off to see the princess, me, Miggery Sow, seeing the princess up close and personal like. And first off, I must curtsy, because she is royalty. At the door to the princess's room, Meg had sudden crisis of confidence. She stood a moment, clutching the spool of thread and muttering to herself. Now, how did that go? She said. Give the princess the thread and then give her a curtsy? No. First the curtsy and then the thread? That's it. Or, that's right. That's the order. Start with the curtsy, finish with the thread. She knocked on the princess's door. Enter, said the P. Meg, hearing nothing, knocked again. Enter, said the P. And Meg, still hearing nothing, knocked yet again. Maybe, she said to herself, the princess ain't home. Ain't too home? The princess ain't too home? I don't know. Maybe it's just the way she's... But the door was flung wide, and there was the princess herself, staring right at Miggery Sow. Gore, said Meg, her mouth hanging open. Hello, said P. Are you the new serving maid? Have you brought me my thread? Curtsy I must, shouted Meg. She gathered her skirt, dropped the spool of thread, tucked her foot out, and stepped on the spool, rocking back and forth what seemed like a long time, both to the watching princess and to the rocking Meg, and finally fell to the floor with a Miggish thud. Whoopsie, said Miggery Sow. The P could not help it. She laughed. That's all right, she said to Meg, shaking her head. It's the spirit of the thing that counts. How's that? Shouted Meg. It's the spirit of the thing that counts, shouted P. Thank you, miss, said Meg. She got up slowly to her feet. She looked at the princess. She looked down at the floor. First curtsy and then thread, Meg muttered. Pardon? Gore, the thread. She dropped to her hands and knees to locate the spool of thread. When she found it, she stood back up and offered it to the P. I brought you your thread, didn't I? You see the picture? She's pitiful. Yes, very much. Lovely, said the princess as she took the thread from Meg. Thank you so much. I cannot seem to hold on to a spool of red thread. Every one I have disappears somehow. Are you making a thing? Asked Meg, squinting at the cloth. I am making a history of the world, my world, said the P. In tapestry, see? Here's my father, the king, and he's playing a guitar because that is something he loves to do and does quite well. And here is my mother, the queen, and she is eating soup because she loved soup. Soup? Gore, that's against the law. Yes, said Princess. My father outlawed it because my mother died while she was eating it. Your ma's dead? Yes, said P. She died just last month. She bit her bottom lip to stop it from trembling. Ain't that the thing, said Meg. My ma is dead too. How old were you when she died? Bold was I, said Meg, taking a step back away from the princess. I'm sorry then. No, how old? How old were you? Shouted the P. Not but 6, said Meg. I'm sorry, said the princess. She gave Meg a quick, deep look of sympathy. How old are you now? 12 years. So am I, said the princess. We're the same age. What's your name? Miggery Sal, but most just call me Mig. And I saw you once before, princess. You passed me by on a little white horse on my birthday it was, and I was in the field with Uncle's sheep, and it was the sunset time. Did I wave to you? Asked the princess. Eh? Did I wave? Shouted the pea. Yes, nodded Mig. But you didn't wave back, said the princess. I did, said Mig, only you didn't see. Someday I will sit on a little white horse and wear a crown and wave someday, said Mig, and she put up her hand to touch her left ear. I will be a princess too. Really? Said the pea, and she gave Mig another quick, deep look, but said nothing else. When Mig finally made her way back down the golden stairs, Louise was waiting for her. How long, she roared, did it take you to deliver a spool of thread to the princess? Too long? Said the guessed Mig. That's right, said Louise, and she gave Mig a good clout to the ear. You are not destined to be one of our star servants. That is already abundantly clear. No, ma'am, said Mig. That's all right, though, because I aim to be a princess. You, a princess? Don't make me laugh. This, reader, was a little joke on Louise's part, as she was not a person who laughed, ever. Not even at a notion as ridiculous as Miggery Sal becoming a princess. So, what do we learn about Mig? She's kind of naive and thinks everybody needs to know what she wants and dreams. And I think that the princess was being kind up until maybe she was threatened at the end, maybe? I don't know. Let's read chapter 30, okay? At the castle, for the first time in her young life, Mig had enough to eat. And eat she did. She quickly became plump and then plumper still. She grew rounder and bigger. Only her head stayed small. Reader, as the teller of this tale, it is my duty from time to time to utter some hard and rather disagreeable truths. In the spirit of honesty, then I must inform you that Mig was the tiniest bit lazy. And, too, she was not the sharpest knife in the drawer. That is, she was a bit slow-witted. Because of these shortcomings, Louise was hard-pressed to find a job that Miggery Sal could effectively perform. In quick succession, Mig failed as a lady-in-waiting. She was caught trying on the gown of the visiting duchess. A seamstress, she sewed the cloak to the writing master to her own frock and then ruined both of them. And as a chambermaid, sent to clean a room, she stood open-mouthed and delighted, admiring the gold walls and floors and tapestry and exclaiming over and over again, God, it ain't pretty. Gord, ain't it something? And did no cleaning at all. And while Mig was trying and failing at these many domestic chores, other important things were happening in the castle. The rat in the dungeon below was pacing and muttering in darkness, waiting to take his revenge on the princess. And upstairs in the castle, the princess had met a mouse, and the mouse had fallen in love with her. Will there be consequences? Oh, you bet. Just as Mig's inability to perform any job well had its consequences. For finally, as a last resort, Louise sent Mig to the kitchen, where Cook had a reputation for dealing effectively with difficult help. In Cook's kitchen, Mig dropped eggshells in the pound cake batter. She scrubbed the kitchen floor with cooking oil instead of cleanser. She sneezed directly onto the king's pork chop moments before it was to be served to him. Of all the good-for-nothings I have encountered, shouted Cook, surely you are the worst, the most cauliflower-eared, the good-for-nothingest. There's only one place left for you, the dungeon. Eh? Meg, cupping her hand around her ear. "You are being sent to the dungeon. You are to take the jailer his noonday meal. That will be your duty from now on." Reader, you know that the mice in the castle feared the dungeon. Must I tell you that the humans feared it too? Certainly it was never far from their thoughts. In the warm months, a foul odor rose out of the dark depths and permeated the whole of the castle. And in the still, cold nights of the winter, terrible howls ensued in the dark place, as if the castle itself were weeping and moaning. "It's only the wind," the people in the castle assured each other. "Nothing but the wind." Many a serving girl had been sent to the dungeon bearing the jailer's meal, only to return white-faced, weeping, hands trembling, teeth chattering, insisting that they would never go back. And worse, there were whispered stories of those servant girls who had been given the job of feeding the jailer, who had gone down the stairs and into the dungeon, and who had never been seen or heard from again. Do you believe that this will be Meg's fate? Cora, I hope not. What kind of a story would this be without Meg? Now listen, you cauliflower-eared fool, shouted Cook. This is what you do. You take the tray of food down to the dungeon, and you wait for the old man to eat the food, and then you bring the tray back up. Do you think that you can manage that? I reckon so, said Meg. I take the old man the tray, he eats what's on it, and then I bring the tray back up. Empty it would be, then I bring the empty tray back up from the deep downs. That's right, said Cook. Seems simple, don't it? But I'm sure you'll find a way to bungle it up. Eh? Said Meg. Meg, nothing, said Cook. Good luck to you. You'll be needing it. She watched as Meg descended the dungeon stairs. They were the very same stairs, reader, that the mouse Despero had been pushed down the day before. Unlike the mouse, however, Meg had a light on the tray with the food. There was a single flickering candle to show her the way. She turned on the stairs and looked back at Cook and smiled. The cauliflower-eared good-for-nothing fool, said the cook, shaking her head. What's to become of someone who goes into the dungeon smiling? I ask you. Reader, for the answer to Cook's question, you must read on. I'm going to stop there. You have one page to do. And I am wanting you to choose. Meg is one, maybe Despero, maybe Roscaro, or what do you think? I don't know. They want you to draw a picture, and you are predicting what you think might happen to these three characters. So you're going to give me one or two sentences for each one. So like Despero, maybe he's going to be rescued by Meg, or maybe Meg gets lost, or maybe Roscaro, what does he do? That mean, evil rat. Anyway, fill that out, draw those pictures for me. Done with reading.